Alright, welcome back to another episode of what I watched this month. It's October, it's spooky month, so you already know I watched a good amount of horror movies this month. So yeah, we're gonna go through. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about each film. And yeah, the first thing I watched here was Perfect Days on September 30th. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is a very, patient, slow, and kind of deliberate film, I guess you could say. It's kind of just about this toilet cleaner in Japan, I think it is, and lives a very simple life, going about his day-to-day life, and it's it feels like it's about finding the beauty in the small things in life. If you need a straightforward plot, or if you need things happening all the time in a movie, maybe this won't be for you, because again, a lot of it is honestly just him cleaning toilets. But I loved this thing. It's honestly kind of changed the way that I look at life, and it's kind of made me appreciate the smaller things as well. So yeah, I love this thing. Perfect Days, 4.5 stars. Let's go. Next track. Look at me. I'm in music brain. Next film here that I watched was Anatomy of a Fall. I gave this 4 stars. What do I even say about this? There's the first thing that jumps out to me is the dog in this movie. There's some insanely unsettling dog performances. There's one scene where this, I guess spoilers for most of these movies, but this dog is choking on something, and it's just such, I don't even know how they shot that scene. It's insane. This is kind of like a whodunit, kind of like a murder mystery. I think it's very, it keeps you on your toes. I like how it just plays with the mystery of that. You don't even really get a concrete answer towards the end of it, in my opinion. I mean, they lead you to believe that this guy just, took his own life. I like how the son becomes kind of a central character, and he honestly is the deciding factor of this court case. A lot of this movie is just a court case, and it's actually really well written and riveting. Yeah, I really enjoyed this thing. Love how this thing looks. Beautiful location that this family lives on. Their house is in these, I don't know where this was shot, but some European country, and just the location is stunning. There you go. Next thing I watched here, I actually rewatched Bring Her Back on October 6th here. I originally gave this 4 stars. I lowered it to 3.5 stars. If you guys don't know, this is the second feature-length film by the Philippou brothers, who are, or were, YouTubers. So yeah, their first film was Talk to Me, which I loved. I think it's a little bit better than this film. But yeah, I rewatched this one, and it shrunk on me a little bit, because it does feel a little bit like it's just playing into that A24 psychological horror trope a little bit too much, to where it's not really as interesting as it could be, in my opinion. I do really like the performance of the young teen in this movie, the young guy. I think he's I honestly think he has the standout performance. Obviously you have Sally Hawkins in here. Most people would say that's the standout performance, but I really like the young guy's performance in this. I think he's great. There's some, the kid in this film is freaky. I mean, you see him in the poster there. There's, it's got some psychological kind of themes to it, but I think where it lands ultimately is not as interesting as the film leads you to believe it is, or as interesting as the film builds up to. You think it's gonna do something a little bit more interesting than it actually does. Next thing I watched here was Him. I gave this 1.5 stars. This was absolutely horrible. This is kind of being, a lot of people think this is a Jordan Peele film, but it's just, it's not directed by Jordan Peele. It's produced by Jordan Peele. But yeah, it has that similar kind of style to a lot of his movies. It's kind of this football cult at the end of the day. I do think this is a very interesting concept, and I think this concept could be done well if the film itself was just executed a million times better. The acting here is rough, in my opinion. I think the lead actor here is not great. His performance is very stale and kind of boring in my opinion. The scares here are very predictable, very bland and cliche, and just where this movie ends up, like, you just know where it's going the entire time. There's really nothing surprising about it, and there's little to no growth within the characters here, within the plot itself. Like, in the first 20 minutes, you're like, yeah, I know where this movie's gonna end up, and it ends up exactly where you think it's gonna end up. So, extremely predictable. I think the editing, like, there is some cool visuals to this, where, like, there's a scene where they're, you know, they're playing football, they're practicing, and there's like hard hits that are given, and then it kind of goes into this like x-ray camera where you see the bones cracking and stuff. I thought that was kind of effective and kind of a creative choice that I haven't really ever seen before. I mean, the one thing that reminds me of is Skate, you know, like the video games, Skate 3, where you, when you like wipe out or you get like a crazy injury, it like zooms in and then you see the bone snapping or whatever. But yeah, I haven't like seen that applied in film before, so I thought that was a creative choice. But overall, I just don't really care for this. It was... Next thing I watched here was One Battle After Another. I rewatch. I went to the theaters again. I took my sister, her husband, I took my brother, and we all went and watched this. They were in town for Thanksgiving, and you know, I was like, we gotta go, you gotta go watch this, guys. I'll come with you, I'll rewatch it, I'll happily see this a second time. And it's still at a 4.5 stars for me. I still love this thing. I was worried that it wasn't gonna hold up on a rewatch, but it actually did. It, again, like, flew by. I remember the first time I watched this, like, it's almost a 3-hour movie, right? And the first time I watched it, it felt like an 1.5 hours. This time, maybe a little bit longer, but still just felt so quick, and it just absolutely flew by. I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, I said really all that I have to say in last month's video, so if you want to see more of my thoughts about this, go check that out. But yeah, I still love this thing. So next film I watched here is another rewatch. Again, I watched this with my brother and sister. My sister was like, we gotta watch a scary movie, you know, it's October. So I was like, you know, this, I guess this could classify as a horror movie, but it's more of a coming-of-age romance story, in my opinion. I guess it blends all of that. So yeah, bones and all, gave it 4.5 stars here. I think that was originally what I gave it to. So my opinion didn't really change on this much, but yeah. Luca Guadagnino, obviously he directed Call Me By Your Name, Challengers. He has such a way of like directing eroticism in a very heartfelt way, and I think that is done really well here. I love our two lead performances from what's her name, Taylor Russell, and of course Timothée Chalamet. Whoever plays that like creepy villain at the beginning, he honestly kind of steals the show here. He is slimy, he's just got a very weird way about him. And yeah, this movie looks stunning. I love how it's just like, it's kind of like a road movie too. It's these two people going on the road. They, you know, they find similarities in each other. They find like connection in each other, you know, through their cannibalism. I like how this movie isn't like trying to preach anything to you. It's just, you know, straight up showing you this kind of beautiful but also messed up relationship between these two people. Next thing I watched here is 28 Years Later. I gave this 3.5 stars. I definitely prefer 28 Days Later. I think that film has a more cohesive style to it. I think this film, like, it still has that kind of like digital, you know, kind of dirty style to it at points, but it also just feels a little bit more like a traditional film. You know, it just feels more traditional Hollywood at points, which is what kind of rubbed me the wrong way at times. I do really like the story here. I like the writing here. I think what this film reaches with kind of its, you know, grappling with like just the existential dread of like death towards the end there. And I think it hits like a really emotional peak towards the end that actually like got me pretty emotional. But there's just like certain points where like the visual effects are very rough in my opinion. Like that scene where they're being chased by the alpha zombie and they're trying to run back across the freaking the water back to like the island. The VFX in that were shockingly bad. Like, I get they were kind of going for this like surrealistic vibe with like the the sky being like very colorful, but it just looked so rough, man. So there was just little things like that that kind of threw me off. But overall, I did enjoy this thing. I think the script itself kind of saves this film from some of those problems that I had with it. Next film here, A Nightmare on Elm Street, gave this 3.5 stars as well. 1984, who directed this again? Who directed this? Wes Craven, that's who it is, okay. This is a very straightforward film, in my opinion. Like, it just is what it is, you know? But I do love how unapologetically slasher horror this is. It's just so, it's like the acting is kind of cheesy and bad at times, but it's just so much fun. I think Freddy Krueger is just like a, like hot take guys, Freddy Krueger, one of the most iconic villains ever. I think he's just like a great villain. I love his character design. I love the dream sequences here. I think the ending really puts a nice bow on everything and actually leaves this film in a more of an unexpected place than you would expect. So I think the ending kind of saves it a little bit. If it had more of like a traditional straightforward ending, I don't think I would have enjoyed this as much. But I kind of just like this for what it is. Is it like the most thought-provoking thing ever? No, but the music is great. Next thing I watched here was Persona. This is a crazy film right here. 4.5 stars I gave this. This is my first Bergman film. I know I gotta get into more Bergman. I think I'm planning to watch The Seventh Seal, I think is what it's called, soon. So yeah, you'll probably see that in next month's video. This, I'm honestly struggling to remember exactly what happened in this movie. But you know, this film just left me with a very strong, you know, feeling. I don't even know how to describe this, man. Okay, so it's about this nurse, I guess, that's taking care of this like famous actress, and it kind of gets to a point where this nurse starts like seeing herself in this actress, and then she like starts sharing too many things with her, and it's like this, it gets into this very like psychological, like you don't know if you should be trusting this person. It's very yeah, I don't know. I legit don't know how to talk about this movie, and this is why I'm still kind of scared to talk about film, because like I don't even know what to say about this, you know? Next thing here that I watched. Oh, next thing I watched here was I Know What You Did Last Summer. I gave this a star. This is a remake of the 90s version, I believe, of the same name, and I've actually seen that 90s version recently, and not like, I don't know why we're remaking something that, you know, the original itself isn't even good. Like, the original is kind of horrible too, so it's like, why are we even, this does not need a remake. I don't know what we're doing here. This thing is horrible. It absolutely lacks personality. It's a movie for the most boring people you can think of. Like, the cast is just a bunch of hot people, and it's just like, these people can't act. There's moments where I was completely cracking up at some of the acting in this. Like, towards the end of the movie, I gotta look at the cast, sorry you guys. There's a point where like the main like girl antagonist, who turns out to be, spoilers, she turns out to be the killer in this. There's points towards the end where like she's trying to portray like this crazy, unhinged psycho character, but it's just the most forced, hilariously bad acting I've seen in a really long time. Who is it? Why is it not showing up here? Yeah, Sarah Pigeon. Sarah Pigeon. Some of her just horrible. Same with Chase Suey Wonders. Some of her line delivery and just like such forced performances from them. I mean, literally every technical aspect of this is so boring, so uninspired. I hated this thing so much. The music in here is horrible. It's just everything about it is bad, and the characters do really dumb things, like lots of characters do in bad horror movies. So there you go. And it's not even like, it doesn't even really do anything that different from the original, you know? It's like pretty much just a straight up copy and paste, except for like who the killer turns out to be, I guess. Like, you know, they bring back some of the characters from the first movie, like it's some big franchise because we need to bring characters back for some reason, but it just all ends up feeling like nothing. So there you go. There's my little rant on that horrible movie. Next up, I watched Raging Bull. Gave this 4.5 stars, obviously directed by Martin Scorsese. I'm kind of like slowly working through Scorsese's filmography. I really loved this thing. I like didn't expect to love this because I'm not like a huge fan of like sports related movies, but honestly the boxing in this movie is kind of, you know, takes a backseat to just the character study of this movie, of this guy who is deeply insecure. He is kind of very, you know, he's very engaging to watch, and part of that is due to Robert De Niro's performance, of course, but just the way he's written. He snaps at like the slightest, you know, thing that could dig at his, you know, his toxic masculinity, at his insecurities, you know. If a guy even looks at his girl, you know, he's like freaking out. I do like how it's kind of like you can see that anger boiling over into the boxing segments too. I think where this film ends up is very interesting too, where he's kind of just like, you know, he's just like a stand-up comedian at these like dingy little bars, and you know, it's that time jump is very effective in showing like what his actions have, you know, resulted in, and what his, again, his insecurity has resulted in. I think it's just a very interesting character study of someone who is very fragile. That dichotomy of like a boxer who's supposed to be tough and who's supposed to be like masculine, but at the core of it, he's just this very fragile man. You know, it's an interesting choice to be fully shot in black and white, because I guess it's set in like the 40s. This came out in 1980, but I think it's set in the 40s. Some just beautiful black and white cinematography. I love the editing here. I think Thelma Schoonmaker, I think is, you know, I'm slowly starting to learn these names, guys. I know like she's like a very renowned editor within, you know, film. So I think she edited this, and I love the pacing of this. Again, another film that kind of flies by. Next up, I watched The Long Walk. I gave this 3 stars. This actually like had me kind of really emotional at times. Like, I'm not even gonna, I gotta be completely honest here. I was kind of losing my shit watching this. Like, I was bawling at points. I don't know why this hit me so hard. I think the reason it hit me so hard is because the brotherhood between these guys, you know, the camaraderie felt so natural and it felt so real, so that like when, you know, some of these guys are being killed off, it hit me so hard. I wasn't expecting to be hit so emotionally hard throughout this thing. I don't think it's like the greatest thing I've ever seen. I gave it 3 stars. I think it's a little bit like derivative of some things. Like, now I know it's based on a Stephen King novel, but I think the way this story is presented is a little bit derivative of things like, you know, Hunger Games, or those kind of like dystopian young adult movies of like the early 2010s. And I think what this film is trying to say about society is pretty shallow, and again, thinks it's smarter than it is. It feels like a 9th grader kind of wrote it at points. So that's why I couldn't really give it higher than 3 stars, but I do really like the performances here. You got Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, I believe, right? Cooper Hoffman. He's great in this. David Johnson is great. Those 2 lead performances really ground the whole movie, and again, I think that's why I got so emotional, is because I just actually seemed like, again, I wasn't expecting this, but I actually cared about these characters. Next film here, House of Dynamite. I gave this 3.5 stars. I see like really like divided opinions on this. I think for the most part, people are kind of like, this thing is kind of mid, you know, but I actually kind of enjoyed it for the most part. I do think it does get a little bit stale towards the end, because you'll just like see the same kind of Zoom call from like 3 different perspectives, I think it is. But obviously this is about a nuclear attack being launched on the United States. We never really figure out who it's from. There's points where they think it's from, I think, North Korea. Sometimes they think it's from Japan or like Russia, but it's never like fully figured out. But it goes through these like 3 stages of these 3 different departments. I don't even know, like the Secretary of Defense is in there. Ultimately, we end up with the president towards the end, and there's a line in this that is so funny to me. And I was reading friggin' reviews on Letterboxd of this, and people were like criticizing this line as if it's not like good, but it's like so obviously supposed to be funny, in my opinion. The president says, the president is faced with this, you know, this decision of what he does. You know, does he fire a nuke back? Does he just stand by and hope that, you know, this is the only nuke that's being launched? Hopefully this video doesn't get demonetized. Can a video get demonetized for saying nuke over and over again? I don't know. Probably not, right? Yeah, he's like faced with this insanely important decision, and then he just says like, yeah, I was watching this podcast one time, which is just such like a funny way to start a line. Like when you have such a important decision ahead of you, but it's obviously purposeful. That's obviously supposed to be hilarious, and I thought it worked. I thought it was hilarious. I thought the performances here were great. Rebecca Ferguson is awesome. She's amazing in this. Idris Elba as the president, I think, is amazing in this as well. I really like how sharp and witty and quick the writing is here. It does kind of follow this like kind of, I don't know if Succession Succession didn't start this style, but it's this very like digital kind of documentary, like lots of crash zooms and lots of, you know, handheld camera work. So it has that style. It makes you feel like you're in these rooms. It makes it feel very real. Again, I do think it gets a little bit stale. Once you get to like the second act, you're like, okay, we're just gonna see this again. I left thinking a lot about the possibility of this, and I don't know if this is what it's intending, but just leaving with more like compassion for people that are, you know, in this line of work. And like, if this ever did happen, obviously it would be horrible, but like, I think showing it from this perspective offers a new, interesting, you know, perspective, and it makes me again have compassion for those people, because what a stressful situation we put in. So overall, I liked it. Next film here I rewatched was The Thing. I first watched this like maybe a year ago now. Decided to give it a rewatch, and it still holds up. I gave it 4.5 stars once again. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. Some of the best practical effects, some of the best makeup you'll ever see. I love the kind of swag to this movie. I think everybody in this movie is so cool. Everybody's outfits and the wardrobes are sick. Freaking Kurt Russell is dripped out in this movie. I just love the score here is great. I love the first like 30 minutes of this movie with this ominous dog that, you know, ends up being the Thing. Again, another great dog performance. I don't know where these dog actors are coming from, but the way that this dog is acting here is very unsettling and just astounding how that was able to be done. And yeah, I love where this film ends, where it's just kind of left up in the air if either of these two guys are the Thing, and it's like, you know, I guess we'll find out soon enough. It's a very dreadful movie. It's very dismal, and you know, just the idea of this thing looming. It could be in anybody, you know, it's got a lot of mystery to it. Next up, I watched Black Christmas from 1974. I gave this 4 stars. This apparently is like kind of like one of the first slashers, which is very interesting. It definitely, you can see the influence that this had on a movie like Halloween, with the way that this film starts with us from the point of view of the killer, you know, kind of stalking outside the house. The restraint here, I guess, is very respectable in the sense that like you never really see the killer. You only ever, the most that you see from him is like a single eyeball, which I think is really effective in building that mystery, because, you know, oftentimes in horror they say, you know, the unknown is more scary than anything. The kills here are very stripped back, but they're very effective, and they're not over the top, but they're very real, which makes them just feel more visceral and more violent than like an over the top, very gory kill, in my opinion. I love our central cast. I love not treating, you know, in 1974, our central cast is like a sorority house. These characters could easily be portrayed as these like stupid, you know, the classic like ditzy girl in a horror movie or in a slasher. But apart from the fact that like this guy is in their attic for the entire duration of the movie, and it takes them forever to figure out, they really never figure it out until our last girl at the end, until the police actually figure it out. So I guess you could say they're kind of dumb in that way, but like I do like how they actually have depth to these characters here, and you actually start to care about these characters, and it just makes the kills that much more impactful, in my opinion. There's some really interesting commentary on abortion in this movie between our 2 kind of central characters, which is very interesting for 1974. I think that would have been very like, you know, ahead of the curve at the time. Yeah, this movie looks great. I think the kind of dingy 70s vibe to it, like this grainy film kind of vibe is very, you know, it kind of reminds me of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a way, where you can feel the grit through the screen. Last thing I watched last night on Halloween. I watched The Exorcist, which I gave 4 stars as well. This actually came out a year before Black Christmas. I'm kind of surprised I haven't ever seen this. Like, I've seen this poster, obviously. I've seen scenes on YouTube of like this girl that's possessed, you know, but I've never seen the whole thing. So I decided it was finally time to sit down and watch this, and yeah, I think it's great. The actual possession scenes themselves are very unhinged and shocking in my opinion. Like, I can't imagine too, like, seeing this in 1973, I bet this was like viewed as a legitimately like scary movie. This movie looks great. I mean, you see that shot from the poster, that shot is in the film, and it's just unbelievable. I love the use of like blue light in this movie. It's just so kind of noir in a way. It's kind of like just very eerie. And a lot of the framing here of our characters, who is this again? Who directed this? William Friedkin. Now, I don't know who the cinematographer was here, but a lot of our shots of 2 characters, they're angled in the frame in a really nice way, where it's like, I guess they're kind of blocked in a really interesting way, where it's not just like a traditional over-the-shoulder shot from each person's perspective. It's more, you get both of their side profiles in the frame, and it really creates like a nice sense of conflict between those 2 characters when it's necessary. It doesn't happen all the time, but you know, when there actually is a tension between those 2 characters, you have them both in the frame, and I think it's just a very interesting choice, and it's used a lot throughout this movie, so it feels like a very intentional kind of like stylistic choice for this film, which I think is very interesting. And yeah, this is like a real movie. I had that thought when I was watching this. I was expecting it to be kind of just a schlocky, cheesy, kind of bad, stupid horror movie at points, but it's like a real patient movie that has a lot of attention to detail with its characters and its themes, and yeah, I think it's just pretty great. Those are my thoughts on The Exorcist, and that is what I watched in general in the month of October. Leave a like, I guess, subscribe. I'm gonna keep doing these, I think. Like, yeah, I think I'll just keep doing these monthly. I'm trying to think of like other ways that I could talk about film like throughout the month, but part of me also just wants to like leave this as kind of just like a side thing where it's like not my main priority. Like, the music channel still should be my main priority, you know? So I think 1 video a month is like definitely doable. Stay tuned for next month's video, and yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.